Okay, let's jump straight in. Hey everyone, this is Rangadad. This is not financial advice. It's just the way I'm looking at the market. Hopefully you can get something out of it too. So some interesting things happening here. First one being, this is looking a little bit like a double top. Now, what's a sort of potential target for this? I think a fairly good possibility is back down to this 62,500-ish. That would sort of play out on the double top. It would also come back into this wick here and back into basically you potentially wick down into this 50% level on this particular run. Now, there are other 50% levels to look at on this overall channel that we've been in, but realistically, we're still looking fairly strong. I know it doesn't seem like that, but the main reason I say that is because of the amount of liquidity that's coming into the order books when we do drop. And there's not a lot of liquidations down here. Actually, I might just add the liquidations. Where is my... Sorry. Crap, I forgot what I used for my liquidations. There we go. Yeah, it's relatively thin for liquidations. Unless we get down into this level here, which is sort of that 63K down to about 62,500. If we came into that level, I wouldn't be surprised. Can we go lower? Yeah, potentially, but there's not a lot there for the market. It still does depend a lot on liquidity in the market. We need people to come in, and I think that's going to take... I think this is the case for general markets as well. They're just waiting for the rate decision, and if the rate decision, be it this month or next month, is to drop rates, then I think that's when we'll get the pump. That's pretty much what we're waiting for. Again, I think we're getting close to the end of the cycle in terms of an overall bull run cycle, and we will see a pretty big downturn pretty early next year. I think I can't see how we can make it much further than January, but that's just what I'm seeing at the moment. So yeah, liquidations pointing towards potentially a little bit further down. Obviously a lot of liquidity up here. People were shorting the top here pretty heavily, actually. I'm surprised it didn't run up and try and take some of these before coming down, but it was getting a fair few orders in here as well. So yeah, look, maybe a quick run to the upside to suck up some of this liquidity. And then potentially a bit further down. But a lot of the liquidity is older liquidity further down. So you really have to come out to the weekly to start to tap into some of this. And whether these guys would actually hold their trades open or not, I don't know. Because that can affect whether it actually comes all the way back down into that as well. So basically, we've had a lot of orders soaked up on this run down. Like, people are buying this pretty heavily. we haven't really seen, as you can see here, like you didn't see as many people buying the dip or as many large orders coming in on that previous dip here. You know, not as much there, nowhere near as much here. It is suggesting that there's a lot of interest here. Just like when we get to the top, there's a lot of sell interest there, and we went down. This one here, there's been a lot of long interest, and whether we tap into this, there's just stupid amount of orders in here, like large orders too. Yeah, we may soak up a little bit more, as I said, but if we drop further and we start seeing a ton more come back in here, then yeah, we may keep dropping, but it's kind of going to be a day by day thing. I actually bought that dip there, thinking that we may have been reversing just based on the fact that we'd soaked up a lot already. Just wanted to make sure I got a reasonable portion of my account in there. But the next one, I'm actually going to wait for it to come back down into the 64K level if it does. And look, it's left a wick here that on the 15-minute time frame, it's probably going to come back into it. We just go into the 12-hour. Yeah, I'd be surprised if we don't come down and take this at least, which may bring us further down, but looks like it wants a bit of this stuff first. At the moment, that's a pretty solid V-shaped sort of recovery there. Unfortunately, the order I did have that I moved up was sitting right about in there. Actually, it would have been picked up. So anyway, that is what it is. So if we come back into the overall market, I think we're still got a pretty critical area where we've had this. It's always kind of been an area of interest just based on the fact we did have a wick here. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it comes down. Now, there's a few things in play that I think if we closed an hourly, hang on, BTC longs is picking back up again. It did drop a little bit overnight, just some of the longs got flushed out. Just go to this. Just want to see on the hourly. If we have a close below, I think it's 65, 600-ish on the hourly. That's, yeah, 65, 600. Then we need to be a little bit cautious because that may lead to further downside. Dips down past that are okay, but yeah, we just don't really want to see an hourly close below 65, 500. There was a Meta Signals hourly long signal that had some targets, pretty good targets all the way up here, up to about 70K. That fired off last night, but the invalidation for it was at about 65, 600, I think. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting day today. I think we may chop sideways a little bit, but it's pretty strong candle so far as well. Good volume on it. Probably going to go back up. Now, there's all sorts of higher time frame volatility as well. Global liquidity is still dropping too, by the way, but I'm just going to hide that. I'm going to put BBWP on there. You can see here 5-day BBWP is potentially going to drop below the signal line here. That's okay. Stochastic momentum is still to the upside on it though, and very much to the upside. So I suspect, what do we got? 3 days still left on this. Chances are that actually doesn't close below that signal line. Stochastic still going up. Yeah, this is actually an interesting read. If this turns to the downside as this is picking up, then that's not great. That would suggest we actually go a lot further down. Keep an eye on it. I don't really trade on those longer time frames. I think this is just going to be a recovery of this wick here, to be honest. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot for it on the higher time frames in terms of need to push back down, potentially into this 20 moving average here on the weekly, which is pretty much what everything's doing across the stock market at the moment. All the big stuff anyway. So this box here is still our target. Still a pretty good buy zone, I reckon, for the longer term. But we do need liquidity in the system, and I think the only way we're really going to get that is for interest rates to drop. The volatility is coming down on the on the daily, which typically when it's coming down, you're looking at mean reversion. When it's going up, you're looking at moving away from your 20 moving average. So yeah, we could. It's pointing to probably maybe another day or two of downside and floating around this level. Probably soaking up a lot of that liquidity that we were looking at. Picking up a lot of those orders. And I guess we kind of suggested that it might be choppy in between. Well, I thought it might actually chop around in between up here. Looks like it probably wants to chop around this area. But yeah, I think anywhere down to that 63,700, if we see a bounce there, that's going to be super bullish in my opinion. Typically, when you do close within that, within the Gaussian channel on the daily, you do typically get a move at least to the mid band of the Gaussian channel. As you can see here, close there, touch the mid band, close back inside, touch the mid band. You know, it's pretty common. And it wouldn't surprise me. It just sort of is another confluence that, yeah, okay, maybe a couple of extra days down, soak up some orders and then rip to the upside. And it's a healthy pullback too. Like, you kind of want to see that before you break to new all-time highs. Everyone start to panic sell, and then just destroys them to the upside. Have a quick look at ETH on the daily. Yeah, kind of in no man's land. Pretty big rejection of the 20 and the 50 there. So wouldn't surprise me if ETH came down as well. Yeah, come down, pick up the wick there on the vector candle. I mean, there's still a chance we come into these these vectors here. I would be surprised, but the next month is going to be pretty telling there. Yeah. Interesting that ETH doesn't look like it's going to cross stochastic momentum to the upside, but BBWP looks like it's ticking up above the signal line. Yeah, that's interesting. It may push lower back into this area for ETH. Particularly finding a base somewhere in here would probably be what you'd be looking for. All right, let's go into the shorter time frames. Looking like a bit of a bounce, obviously, on the 15-minute. That's a pretty severe turn to the upside for the CCI indicator. Stochastics up, back into sort of bullish zone. Generally, your longer time frame CCI is still to the downside though, so yeah, would not surprise me if we had more downside over the next few days. Just looking at this now. Again, I think this is just all about liquidity. There just isn't enough free liquidity in the markets to actually push anything higher at the moment. People are scared. People aren't buying. Those interest rate things are going to be pretty important, I think. This is basically the turnaround point for the last 3 rips to the upside. So it'll be interesting to see if we come straight back down here or if we have more of a run up into the 200 EMA. But yeah, I would expect it to at least come back down to that 65, 200-ish, 65, 400, somewhere between there at some stage. CCI on the 5 minutes crossed the mid band, which typically would lead to a decent run, and it's doing it at pace. So let's see how that goes. Possibly a bit of a move up, at least into that 66, 600-ish region. That's about it really for today. Short-term bounces are probably going to be met with some selling demand, but it's whether we get sort of a move up into here before we get further downside later in the week. I like a lot of the stats that Crown brings out and stuff like that on the longer term time frames are still suggesting actually bullish. We've still got the indicator hash ribbons indicator. That's still our lower band. That this here would be the expectation of the maximum pullback before we go to new all-time highs. Obviously, it's statistics. This is not 100% certainty, but we actually put that on Bitcoin. Yeah, somewhere into this level is still quite a high. Well, a bounce here would be a very high probability. I just don't know that we'll get there, just with the amount of orders that are coming into the order books below current price. And there is quite a few liquidations up to about 67, at least 60. Let's get rid of the order book. This is the liquidation heat map. Got a lot of liquidations up into 67, 380. So I'll definitely be taking some profit off the table there. I think kind of played a little bit by ear, but you got a lot of orders up to that point as well. Yeah, 67, 400 in the shorter term would be a pretty good target for us for it. has soaked up a lot of orders so far. And it's the same thing here. Like you soak up a lot of orders, then you come back down, pick up some orders to the other side. Don't worry about that too much. It just kept picking up these orders, and then it ripped to the upside again. I have a feeling that's what will happen here. If we start to see these orders follow it up, which we kind of are a little bit, there's a lot of people that are putting big orders in within this wick here, thinking that it may come back down into it, but that's probably where it's going to stop. Once you start seeing people do that, you do kind of expect to see a bit more upside. But yeah, they're my targets at the moment. Probably a rip up into 67,400, and then play it by ear from there. But still a potential to come back down in the 64 region. Great, that'll do for today. Catch us later. Oh, hang on. You need what? Oh, unlucky, Joshua. You've been liquidated all week, mate. What are you doing? Get the CC indicator in your life. If you're trading manually, I'll show you that one. So the new one that he's got out now works on the shorter time frames. It actually uses some confluence with the longer time frames, I believe. Just update these. That's a cool feature. To actually update the freaking indicators without having to get rid of them and then bring them back in. TradingView is actually doing something. That's fantastic. So yeah, it can be handy if you're looking at a particular trend occurring. Just got to watch out for the choppy areas and stuff. But yeah, could be good confirmation. What you're looking for, though, I think, and I'm waiting. I haven't seen him bring out an education video on it yet, but basically, if you got green dots below, you got is it green candles? No, I don't think you need the green candles necessarily, but definitely a green cloud, green dots below, and a buy signal. That's kind of where you want to be buying. I haven't checked to see whether these buy signals come out at the start of the candle or at the end of the candle. So this buy signal may see you get in at that point there. Yeah, have to wait and see on that one. See what he says, or actually look at it. But yeah, shorter term time frames could be interesting. Like if you've got a red cloud and you're seeing a sell signal, strong sell signal and red dots, then it's probably not a bad time to sell. Even just red dots and a sell signal, to be honest. But yeah, always kind of consider the longer term time frames if you're trying to trade short term. All right. Oh, the other thing, sorry, that I was going to mention, I haven't seen a really strong sort of bottoming signal on the order levels. Open interest is still dropping as well, so typically you'd be looking for a turnaround on open interest before you expected much of a turnaround on price. So yeah, look, at the moment that's the closest thing there that we had to a bottoming signal, but it's not as strong as some of the ones that we would normally get. So yeah, just I guess be careful. Kind of want eh, probably not too bad. We didn't really get much of a signal through here either in terms of all time frames going dark red. That there's sort of a really good topping kind of signal there. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for today. Catch you later.